So after a washout in the first ODI, it's time to look ahead to the second game at Trinidad between India and the West Indies. Let's get Deep Gupta and Darren Ganga's thoughts on ESPNcricinfo Matchday. Right, Deep, let's start and talk about team compositions. And I must compliment you for predicting, 10 out of 11 right ahead of the first ODI. You got Shreyas Iyer spot on, you got Kedar Jadhav right, you got Khalil Ahmed ahead of Navdeep Saini right. It would have been 11 out of 11 had India gone for Chahal ahead of Kuldeep. Now, quite interesting that they backed Kuldeep Yadav in spite of how he fell out of favour towards the end of the World Cup. And I know that it's just 2 overs of evidence, but it does look like Kuldeep started on the best possible note for this series. You see him sticking in the 11?
Yes, absolutely. Because once you start with someone, it'll be very unfair to kind of change the playing 11 after just one game. So I see him playing the next game as well, and I'm glad in a certain way because listen, if you look at the last 6-8 months, and when it comes to Kuldeep, he struggled against maybe the English batsmen. That's about it. I think the others have still struggled against him. It's just that the last summer against the bilateral series against England, where he kind of struggled, the IPL, and then again just one game against England, the World Cup as well. So I still think he has that mystery element about him. I still don't think most batsmen in the world are picking him, except the English. So I still see him doing well.
Right, let's get Darren Ganga's thoughts now from a West Indies point of view. And Darren, let's talk about team composition. Obviously, the washer doesn't give us much on whether that was the ideal sort of team that you would have liked to see. But we spent an entire World Cup getting your thoughts on how the West Indies perhaps are looking too much into playing too many all-rounders. With the inclusion of Roston Chase and the omission of O'Shane Thomas, are you liking the direction that the West Indies seem to be going in post the World Cup?
Well, not exactly. I still think that there needs to be an emphasis on specialist players, players who can understand exactly what their roles are and not necessarily on all-rounders. I've said it before numerous times. I don't think that's the direction that this West Indian team should go in. But I like the idea of a Roston Chase transitioning from Test cricket into 50-over cricket. Many times we've seen too much of a T20 approach to ODI cricket, which has not sort of brought the consistent success for this West Indian side. With a guy like Roston Chase, you can get somebody who can bat a full 50 overs, somebody that understands the ebb and flow in an innings, and also you get a spin option, somebody who can bowl off spin for you. He picked up, I think, 4 wickets in one of the games in which the West Indies A played against India A. A series which is happening concurrent to this current ODI series. So Roston Chase to me is a good selection for this West Indian side. I also think in the ODI format, they've not been able to find an effective specialist spinner. Hence the reason you're seeing the likes of Fabian Allen. You saw Carey Pierre brought in for the T20 internationals, but still no wrist spinner, no spinner that you can place your confidence in to get wickets, and that's an area that the West Indies will need to solve. And if they can put their hands on one of those, I think you may see one of the all-rounders coming out of this squad and making way for this specialist spinner.
Chris Gayle seems to still want to play ODI cricket, Deep, and I don't know how much of it has to do with the impending record. He's not far away from Brian Lara's tally as the most prolific run getter in ODI cricket. But these 4 out of 30s, there is going to be scrutiny that will be drawn with every Chris Gayle innings. Where do you stand on Chris Gayle at the moment?
Well, listen, it's very difficult if someone like Chris Gayle wants to carry on. It's very difficult to drop him. And he's been all right. If you think about pre-World Cup, the series that he played, he got runs there. And so it's going to be extremely difficult for the selectors to kind of drop someone like Chris Gayle. But it's a little unfortunate to say Chris Gayle playing the way he is right now. I mean, taking a little too long to get himself in. I don't know how much of it is also due to the fact that the Windies batsmen haven't done that well in T20, or for that matter, even during the World Cup. Is it too much of a pressure on the senior pro to kind of hang in there for as long as possible, and then maybe once he's set, then he gets going the way he does? But you know what, I would ideally like to see Chris Gayle play the way he does usually, and the reason why his the universe boss and not change his tactics.
The universe boss is set for a 300th ODI appearance. If he does play, you expect him to in the next ODI at Trinidad, and that's where his numbers stand, just under 10,400 runs, and he's only 6 short as we look at the list of all-time run getters for the West Indies in ODIs. He's only 6 short of the great Brian Lara. You think that he will get past that in this series. But what's the feeling that you expect, Darren? Will there still be a warm reception, a lot of cheering for a Chris Gayle, or has that debate, especially with how he played in the first ODI too, again triggered of Chris Gayle still featuring at age 40 in an ODI team, as like you said, the team looking to build after what was a disappointing World Cup?
Well, I think one innings, like we saw in the first ODI in Guyana, is not going to define Chris Gayle. West Indian fans are very proud of what he's accomplished across formats for a guy who's got 2 triple centuries in Test cricket. I think the undisputed king of T20 cricket in terms of his numbers. The debate is about whether he should continue in maroon colours in this ODI format, because the next World Cup will be in 4 years' time, and many feels that Chris Gayle is not the right answer for this ODI team, possibly in the T20 squad with an upcoming T20 World Cup. His performance will dictate his destiny, so to speak, and that's my humble opinion. I think any player who has contributed so much to his or her nation must be given the homage and be given the respect deserving of that effort, and I think Chris Gayle definitely is one such player that needs to be respected, and his exit should be in a very civil, formal manner where he leaves the game in a good spirit, because he has a lot to contribute still to West Indian cricket, even if he's not playing.
Lastly, Darren, one player to watch out for from this second ODI that you'd want to see in particular do well?
I'd like to see Shai Hope get into stride, score runs, and he looked very fluent in that first ODI match. Came to the crease and he was very at ease in terms of turning the strike over. I think this is one young man that can probably not just carry the responsibility of batting for this West Indian side, both in red ball cricket and white ball cricket, but I also think he has leadership abilities, and it must be harnessed in the right way. No doubt about it. You look at his record in ODI cricket, he's got 6 one-day centuries, 4 opening the batting. I see and I still think that he is an option at the top of the innings for the West Indies. So only time will tell. I really would like to see Shai Hope get amongst the runs and build his confidence going into the Test series which follows this ODI series.
Last words from you, Deep, a player to watch out for from this game?
There'll be the usual suspects, obviously, like Rohit, Virat, Shikhar and all of them. But you know what? I'm going to look out for Shreyas Iyer, because that's what this whole thing is all about. I mean, it's been that case for the last 2-3 years now almost. You're looking for a number 4, and that's what I'm going to be looking out for, Shreyas Iyer, if he gets an opportunity to bat.
Right, many thanks to Darren Ganga as well as to Deep Das Gupta, and we'll continue getting thoughts from both these fine gentlemen as this series goes on. Second ODI between India and the West Indies at Trinidad on Sunday.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.